selling to your friends is a lot easier than selling to a stranger.
A lot of people don't stick to one thing and they're just trying to bounce and test and they never really hit.
Selling yourself is more than just marketing. It's about building relationships and trust over time.
I think that's the key, is be different. Don't try and fit in with everyone else.
You can't compare your day 1 to someone's day 300. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Clout Podcast. Today, we are diving into a crucial skill for every real estate agent, the art of selling yourself. In this business, it's not just about selling homes. It's about selling who you are, building trust, and standing out in a crowded market. I'm Montana, your host, and today I'm joined with...
I'm Blake.
And I'm Logan.
Hello, guys. How are we feeling today?
Feeling good. Let's run it.
Good energy today.
Great energy. Blake, how important do you think it is for agents to master this art of selling themselves?
I think it's the most pivotal. Honestly, I think Logan's mentioned it before. People buy from people, and that's just kind of what this business is. And, reflecting on the years that we've been in business, referrals are big to us, but referrals are even bigger to agents. So, selling to your friends is a lot easier than selling to a stranger, right?
Totally. I totally agree. And I'm excited for this because I am still learning this. So I'm excited to learn from you guys because I feel like I learn something new every week. So Logan, why do you think being able to sell yourself is such a critical skill in real estate?
Well, you are in the sales business. You're selling homes. And if you don't know how to sell, probably in the wrong business. So if you want to talk about how to sell, I'm glad you're joining us in this podcast because that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We're going to dive into like the different tips, the different tactics, and how to really think simple about selling. There's so many different tools, so many different companies trying to sell you things, leads, and what's most important is something that's simple and that works.
Is that a real thing? Do people try to sell leads?
Oh yeah, 100%. So the way Zillow works is it's changed over time a lot, but Zillow has a preferred. It's like a vendor program. So if you're associated with Zillow, they'll send you the lead, but I think they take like 30% of the commission just by giving you that lead. So, and it works. I know a lot of successful businesses that work that way. I have a buddy who is on a team and they probably do about 200 homes a year based on Zillow leads, based on people filling out like, hey, I'd like to schedule this home through Zillow. And then it feeds over just by having that little input, they'll get 30% of the commission. The problem with that is a lot of people are building their brands based on this lead gen, but it's not building. I wouldn't even say it's building their brand. It's just building their business and lead flow if they put that same amount of money into their personal brand and had recognition, they could still, make a lot of money.
Wow, my mind is blown. See, I already learned something. I know because I inquire sometimes on Zillow. I've been looking for a new apartment, and so I've always wondered like, who does that go to? So now I know, a random.
Yeah, so like the systems and tools we build on like Go High Level for our business is similar, but I mean, this is just a home shopping platform. So when someone's interested, they deliver that lead to, someone who's local, someone who is already, signed a contract that they will pay them. So essentially once that home sells or once that person purchases or whatnot, they have a tracker on that purchase, on that lead, that when it closes, they get paid, which is, it's nuts. It's a lot of money.
That's so true. And you're out there actually like working with clients one-on-one on a more personal level. So what role do you think personal branding plays in an agent's success instead of just, paying for those leads or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think being authentic to your brands is important. And, there's various ways to go about that, but, be yourself. Everyone has their own opinion. You can't make everyone happy, but at the end of the day, the people who side with you are probably the people that are going to be buying from you, or the very least, at least your friend, right? So, I think being authentic is probably the most valuable tip I would give. And, plain and simple, you can't make everyone happy.
Truly, truly. What about you, Logan? Like, what do you think the role of personal branding plays in agent success?
It plays a huge role. Personal branding is how you do business. It's everything about you. For those that are real estate agents that are, or listening in, that are for those of you that are real estate agents listening in, whether you're part of a team or an office, you usually work under some sort of brand. And that is as simple as a website, a logo, but it goes much more deeper than that. It's, what you put out online. There's a lot of different tactics for marketing, like, direct mail, advertisements, growing your audience organically on social media. It's a lot of different things, but it's just so important that your brand is recognizable. Think about like going into like a shoe store and shopping for some shoes. You're going to see Nike, you're going to see Adidas, you're going to see all these brands. But if you don't have a brand and you're in the back corner, if you're in the back of the shop, no one's going to buy from you because they don't know who you are. So you have to be present in the market.
I love that. I love that. And so what are ways that people can make themselves stand out and market themselves and build that strong personal brand?
It's I'm glad you asked that, because there's a lot of different things out there and so many different tactics that people are trying to do. And a lot of people don't stick to one thing, and they're just trying to bounce and test and they never really hit. I think you need to find one thing that works for you and double down on it, triple down, and just really, really go all in on something. I know people that have a lot of success doing door knocking. I know a lot of people that have success doing direct mailers. I know a lot of people that have success networking the old school way, being more involved in their community. But nowadays, what I think and what I'm seeing is leading agents and teams to down like a success roadway is building a brand that's recognizable through social media. It's just you have so much more reach through that. And I mean, obviously, you could touch on how to do that, authenticity, what type of content to put out. It's just so much. It's a really, really big thing. But most importantly, people have to know who you are, and they've got to, like you.
I was gonna I'm making a video about this for our account, so this is probably early, but there was a real estate agent. She did that rap song that was trending, the like Glorilla song, like but she changed the words to like I'm a realtor, and then she goes through the house like just doing this, I guess, seemingly like music video, singing this rap song about being a realtor, and it just went crazy viral. It's come up on my feed like so many times, and her account's grown. And so I'm sure people were like, what was the point of that? But like her account's grown, it's blown up. I don't have anything, like I'm not in her niche, but it came up to me, and I'm sure now she's getting more leads through that way because she was just showing her personality. So I love when I see like real estate agents do something out of the box to show their personality and not just be quote unquote like salesy. They're just being themselves, and I think that works for people.
100%, 100%. And I think that, when you look at that type of piece of content, there's two things happening. You're entertaining an audience and you're capturing their attention. With all content, you want to capture attention, but with that one, it was entertaining, and you're like, whoa, this is different. I don't think I've seen a real estate agent, dub a rap song, in their house. So, it's just being different. And I think that's the key, is be different. Like, don't try and fit in with everyone else. I would say like the last 5-10 years, it was like start a social media page and post your listings on there. But now every agent is doing that. So how do you stay one step ahead? And that's, being yourself and being different. That's really what it is.
And I think asking for help too, like from maybe the social media management aspect, because I see a lot of, and no shade to anyone, older real estate agents too, they're getting like social media managers, and then they're doing this funny stuff that people are telling them to do, and it's working because you're becoming more relatable to a different audience.
I love it. Do you have a specific example? Because what I'm thinking of is that one where it's just all the dubs, and that guy's like, ugh, oof.
Yes, that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
it went totally viral, and it just gives you it's like something that's totally unrelated to the brand, and it totally works because you're giving people what they want. It's entertainment or value, and that's one thing is most social media managers and content creators like ourselves are going to these agents saying, hey, provide value and do this education and do that, and it does work, right? But everyone's already on there, so what do you do to stand out, right? So it's like I think we could even talk about that, like what's next, what should people be doing?
Yeah. And I think I also think it's still good to provide value because like that video went crazy for him. His account blew up and he can still post his traditional house tours. I'm sure they're going to perform better than they were before because now he has this boosted engagement, and I'm sure he's probably selling houses a lot easier now that he's had even just one video go crazy viral like that.
That's the thing, because when you think of a viral video, right, it's hard to do it again and again and again. And I mean, he probably is, talking with his team like, hey, should we make more videos like this, or not? And it's like, okay, now you have people's attention. How are you going to keep them there? Right? Because probably people saw and they're like, I'm gonna check out this guy's page, right? And maybe he's a funny guy and everyone wants to follow him because he's a funny realtor, right? And that's all it takes, right? It's really all it takes. You have to have something. Like I'm not the realtor in San Francisco. I'm the funny realtor in San Francisco, right? Or I'm this, I'm that. And I think that people attach to your interest in how you are perceived and how you put yourself out there.
Totally. And I think it's that too of like just trying a bunch of things. You have to try a bunch of different forms of content, I feel, and then when you see what works, you can copy paste.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's definitely a trial period in the beginning stages of this. I mean, you could argue that we're still trying to figure out what sticks and what doesn't, but there's definitely a lot of trial and error with your niche and what like people are going to gravitate to, for sure.
I can give an example too for one of our clients right now that we have in Omni, one of the clients we're working on. So we first started her in Revive. So we were just going through some of her old content, revamping, trying to just like get her used to having things come out consistently on her feed. And so she's been doing that for 2 months. And so then this month we were on the third one. And so I was like, okay, I'm ready to start getting some fresh stuff. We've reused all this old stuff. Like, can you start recording this? And it was a, I guess, quote unquote funny one, but she's a funny girl. And she just, because when we're on the phone together, I'm cracking up at this girl, but I'm like, none of this is coming through online. So I challenged her, not tested her. I challenged her to make this funny reel, and she sent it to me yesterday, and it was adorable. She was like, I'm cringing. Can you edit this good? And I'm like, yes, but I'm so proud of you. So it is awkward, but I think just easing in that way with like maybe reposting some old stuff, trying some trending sounds, and then getting the courage to like, okay, I'm going to show my personality now, because it is a little bit vulnerable to show who you are to the internet.
Definitely have to get out of your comfort zone. Blake, I wanted to talk. So you've been doing shooting content with real estate agents for quite some time now. What if if you were to go to a listing and agent's like, hey, I know that I have to be on camera. I want to do something. What type of video would you recommend they do, like to promote a listing, other than just the listing video? What kind of social stuff would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a couple different ways to go about it. It kind of depends on, what the agent is looking for. But in terms of something authentic, I like the content where you're walking through the house and there's motion being shown, not necessarily like, check out this faucet or check out this big living space. I like kind of the homey tour where I did a video last year for one of our clients, and it was a multi-million-dollar listing. There's a pool in the backyard, and she wanted to portray the lifestyle. So we did some interactive shots of her walking, sitting, pouring some sparkling water, like making some food, like a salad, and just interactions with the actual home, because I think that goes to show the space better than, wide angle lens. Mm-hmm. Like it serves the purpose, don't get me wrong, but I think if you're not comfortable talking in front of the camera, that's a different way to showcase the home without you even having to say a word. And it just repurposes better to your audience, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can do one of those like texts on the screen. It's like, imagine your life here, and then it's just a whole lifestyle beautiful home. It's like aspirational.
I think being creative and like eliminating that there are any bad ideas in marketing. I mean, that's what marketing is: getting creative and having different ideas to be able to speak to your brand, and gauge people's interest, and get their eyes, entertain them, give them what they want. And I mean, I just think of like doing something different. Like if you were to see like a real estate agent standing in front of a home and instead of saying, "Hi, my name's John. Welcome to 123 Main Street," right? They did something different, like laying down in front of the front door as if they just like fell down or something. I know it sounds stupid, but people will watch it, right? Now you're like, what the heck? And I think there's some sort of like story to be told. And I'm sure I could come up with some better examples, but just doing something different where it's just like, what am I watching? And it like kind of makes you curious and you kind of want to get the rest of the story. Now, those typical videos that you see agents saying, "Hey, my name's John. Welcome to 123 Main Street." You already know what you're going to see. You just met an agent that's pretty, you've probably seen many agents just like that do the same intro in front of a normal house. How do you separate yourself and do something different? Right. And that's where people watch and be like, wow, this person's cool. They're creative. And I think people appreciate that.
Another example that I love, just because I feel like I've been looking up some stuff for clients and stuff, but they played hide and seek in the house. Like they were doing a house tour, but it's like where I would hide in this 2.5 like $1 million house or something. And so you were playing hide and seek, like you were trying to find the person, and it was a unique way of showing off the house. I really liked that one. That was different, I thought.
Yeah, that's just brilliant.
So Logan, what are some of those common mistakes that you see agents making when it comes to this personal branding and self-promotion? Maybe not even just like on Instagram or on social media, maybe like in person too. Like I feel like as a salesperson, especially a realtor, like you always got to be on.
Well, I think what separates agents that are doing very good from those that aren't, the ones that aren't are trying to do too many things. And the ones that are doing very good are doing something good, doing something specific, very, very good. And they're usually busy doing that same thing all the time, and they're not overcomplicating it. And they know it works. So I think for the agents that find success, they're not too worried about all the noise and all the different options and everything that's going on. I would say as a real estate agent, you should definitely have, I mean, just a social media. Don't even think about, a website. Don't even think about, all of like CRMs and systems and, all the crazy things that you need, because eventually you'll use these tools once you have lead flow. I think the most important thing is just building your brand where people know who you are and building that audience. And the more people that you could build in that audience, the better. And not just building an audience of like 1,000 people, but having an engaged audience that people actually are engaging with your stuff. And what does that mean? People are watching it, right? So if you're posting a video and it's getting 4 likes, you failed. You totally failed. And the funny thing is some people will pay $200, $300, $400, $500 for a video posted online and get like 10 views. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is terrible. And partly because of the ideation of the video that they're making, right? Part of it is that they don't even need a videographer to create it. It's just, figuring out who they are, what they want to be known for, and going like really all in on that. And then eventually, finding how you can help these people, right? And that's really just what it is. You can use, the tools you have within your team or office, as far as like a transaction coordinator, people that can actually help you, complete the deal. All you have to do is bring the buyer or bring the seller. Right. So that's all you have to do is you have to get people to like you and say, hey, I want to shop with you, or hey, I want you to sell my house. And then, you have the right team to take care of the rest of the things. So I've seen people make millions of dollars in real estate just by posting stuff on social media. I have a friend who also built an audience of like 10,000 people locally and are very engaged by just doing giveaways, simple giveaways. Like every, Monday he'll do a $10 giveaway on a Starbucks gift card. Just, hey, tag 4 people or tag a few people on my post, and that's it. So it's just building a really engaged audience. It's really just that. You can't overcomplicate it because there's so many people in your ear, so many people trying to tell you this and that. It's just find something that works. And I know that's kind of long, but that's really the truth.
No, a couple things. 1, send me that account because I love winning things. And then 2, I totally agree. One of the things I saw a lot, not with any of the clients we have here, but I've been doing this now for a minute. So I've seen a couple people buying followers, because you were saying, like, I think sometimes when people post something and then they see those low views, then they want to just, like, there's people that come in your DMs like, oh, I can help you get this, I can help you get this. And it's one thing to pay for a lead from Zillow. Like, if you're going to spend money, probably spend it there versus buying followers, because it absolutely destroys your account. And please just don't ever do that. That's a very big pitfall I just want to put out there to the world, because it's really hard to bring an account back from that. It's almost easier to just start over. So what are some pitfalls that you think that agents should avoid?
I mean, it kind of goes back into not being authentic, but I know there's that trial and error period. I think Logan kind of touched on it. I mean, if you're not actively following up or doing relationship building, I think that's another pitfall that could definitely come back and hurt you. I think it's super important to do the follow-up after, whether that's, your giveaway or selling a house. I mean, you just want to keep all ties connected, right? I mean, whether it's transactional or it's genuine. The art of follow-up, I just think it's super important. I think probably the number one thing people forget about, and I think it's the reason why people come back, honestly.
100%. I think that confidence plays a huge role in self-promotion and personal branding, content creation. So, Logan, how can agents build the confidence to sell themselves effectively? Because I do feel like it's a muscle that you gotta work on.
There's two different things: selling yourself to somebody selling yourself to somebody you had just met, selling yourself to an audience online. There's a little bit different things. I would say before you sell to an audience online, you should probably have the other two dialed in. How to sell to family, how to sell to people but working on that muscle for now actually trying to build lead generation for people that don't know you, or people that maybe haven't really set you as their go-to realtor. Practice. It just takes time, with building confidence. It just takes time, it just takes time. The more you do it, the better you get. And I think once you start getting traction though, and you start getting likes and engagement and people start like cheering you on, then you're like, all right, this is good. But I mean, which podcast is this now?
I think it might be 10, because you might have missed one last week. I think it's 10. I'm honestly losing count. Buzzsprout keeps me on track, because every week it's like, last week was this number. So I'm like, okay, well, this week is this number.
So what's interesting about that is like, it's a lot of people quit before they see the gold, before they see the rewards. And a lot of the beginning stuff is just testing what works. Like I said, we're on episode 10. I was on YouTube last night watching it. I mean, I think our most viewed one is maybe like 30 or 40 views. You could be highly discouraged and be like, this isn't working. You could start looking at your content and say, well, why did that one do good? And why did that one not do good? And start to understand yourself a little bit better, right? So I think that, building the confidence is a lot of testing, a lot of figuring things out. And, ultimately in time, with enough practice, you'll be really good at what you do. And you can't worry about what other people say or think, because they're entitled to think and say whatever they want, and they will talk crap. And it is what it is. And people will be like, look, no one watches it. And eventually, once you are, very recognizable and you are the top agent and brand in your neighborhood or your city or, whatever region you're in, people are gonna be like, wow, they've been at this for a while. The way they're confident in front of the camera is just unbelievable. The way they're confident telling their audience about these deals is just, it's just stand out. And for those of you that are there, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you that want to get there, you're probably thinking like, I want to be like that person, but I can't do it. Well, you have to look at their journey. How long did it take them to get there? And, how many bad videos did they have to make? How many bad videos did they have to post knowing they were bad? Like, that's huge. Like, I've done that before where it's like, I don't know, I should post it, and I post it, but you never know. And I think that being like opening up vulnerabilities and exposing yourself makes people like, okay, this person is putting themselves out there. I got to give them the credit. So, but I'm not a fan of those TikTok dancers. I'm not going to go to the gas station and TikTok and say, buy a house.
Well, it's okay. TikTok's not even the same anymore, and I'm devastated. You said so much. Like, I was thinking of so many things that I could like pivot to that, like after that, because even like with this podcast, I feel like we're still every single week when we log in. There's not been a smooth process so far. Like, we're still learning and we're still growing, but I promise you that this episode is way better than our first one was, and everyone's getting more confident talking. It's a process, and everyone watches and judges silently and maybe, and then once it pops off, then they're like, oh, you did, I'm so proud of you, I knew you could do it. I'm like, so why weren't you supporting the whole time?
Yeah, but you make a very good point here though, and I think that people look at what it needs to be, and that bar is so high that they can't ever make the move and achieve that because you have to go through the trials and that other word tribulations. What's that other word? Trials and tribulations. That's what I was looking for. To go through it. I mean, like we're in episode 10, we have already kind of went through maybe 4 different types of outlines of how we want to kind of do this podcast, how we want to brainstorm. Now we have, better backdrops and, now we invest in some lights and some mics, and this takes time. You have to you kind of have to look at it, produce it and be like, okay, let's make this better, but not set the bar so high for yourself that's unrealistic to achieve. It's kind of just like, all right, let's go. And I kid you not, anyone could start today. Literally, grab your phone and start recording, and eventually you'll get to the point where you'll have an audience to deliver better stuff with, someone to strategize with, and a social media manager and all those different things.
I love the quote too, because it's so good with like content creation and even what we're doing. And so even just like to encourage y'all, I don't know if you get discouraged because I've just been doing podcasts for so long. So I know that it just takes time. And so I think you guys are doing great. And I think this has been a great launch, like of these 10 episodes, but you can't judge your day one. You can't compare your day one to someone's day 300. So you might have just started something, but they started 10 years ago. So like my favorite podcast, I'm like, I was like, how am I ever going to get numbers like that? What am I ever going to do? They started podcasting 10 years ago when no one even knew what podcasting was. That's why they're in the position that they're in right now. And I think it's having that overall goal of like where you want to go and then taking the baby steps to get there. Like, okay, I want to monetize my socials one day. Well, first I got to start with posting consecutively every day and showing people my life and showing this and doing that,
Absolutely. I'm with you. I thought Blake was going to say something there, but I'm totally with you. And that's with everything. It's not just podcasting. I mean, you saw many artists come from nothing. Travis Scott performing in front of 20 people to, being, in front of sold out stadiums. I mean, you see someone at the gym that's insanely fit, they've probably been in there for a while. And that's with anything. It just takes the reps. It takes practice to get there. But all you can do is have a vision and a goal of what you want to be and just get closer towards that. So, and just take small steps, because eventually you'll get there and you'll look back, you're like, wow, I'm so glad I started. And everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, wow, look at this. And then people will be comparing, their first step to, where you're at eventually, or where you're at now.
Totally. What advice would you give to any agents that maybe struggle with self-confidence or anything like towards what we're talking about and putting yourself out there?
I think investing in personal development is important. Mentorship, coaching, anything of that stature is going to help kind of elevate your brand and your authenticity to that particular knowledge. And I think it just kind of speaks waves of how to get yourself into that position of being in control of like your brand and, being the person that you are set out to be or trying to be would be, I guess, the better phrase.
I totally agree. I think that's something that I didn't realize until we started getting these clients for our social media management. What we do different is that personal relationship with the clients, which I think they like being able to text me and say, is this okay? How should I film this? Or just to send a quick voice memo, because I don't think it's people don't want to, I don't think people just want to not make content. I think they just get held up and they want someone to be like, this is how you do it. You're doing great. It's getting better. And that's one of my most favorite parts about helping people create content is guiding them on the journey, because it is intimidating. It took me a long time. And even last week, I've been making content for 5 years. I had 2 friends last week be like, hey girl, we love you. We actually believe in you. We need you to like up your content and make it a little better. And I was like, dang. And I was like, but they're not wrong. Cause I would never, sometimes the stuff I put out for myself, I would never put out for a client, but I'm like, this is just my fun time. But then I'm like, you know what? She's not wrong. So it's just having someone, give you that feedback that you're wanting. And that's like my favorite part of this whole process that we do here.
It's a lot of fun, helping people. I love helping people, and especially people that there's a difference from helping somebody who is like, okay, I've been doing this for a while, just take care of the problem. And then some people are like, hey, like I need help actually like launching this. So we kind of help 2 different types of people. And those people that are barely starting off, usually, and especially if it's a personal brand, some, they just have to say, all right, I trust it, let's go. And it's hard working with those people that are just like so in control of their brand. They just want so much control, because then it's like it's hard to do anything, because it's just they're always saying no, like this doesn't align with my brand, or this doesn't. And then they get stuck in that trap of thinking like, all right, like this is not me, I can't post that. But you just have to put it out there. Just put it out there.
Yeah, and there's a difference too, and I've noticed this because just working with people throughout the years, there's a difference in helping someone that actually believes and wants to make this social thing work. Like they believe, they see the value in it, but then there's a different thing in helping someone that is just a skeptic, that's just doing it because they think it's what you're supposed to do. They don't really want to do it. So there's definitely a difference, and you have to see the value in it because it is an investment. I do feel like it's an investment. It takes a bit of time to build up that traction, but it's worth it in the long run. So let's wrap things up. I feel like this has been a great discussion, boys. I'm so glad. Logan, what is one essential piece of advice that you would give agents about selling themselves?
It's a great question. It's probably going to overlap what I've already said in this, but do something simple well and go in on it. Something very simple, just lead generation. And because if you're in the sales business, it's all about lead generation. So find a really good lead generation source that's also building your brand at the same time. Keep it simple and go all in.
I love that. What about you, Blake? What is one piece of advice you would give?
I would suggest being consistent and staying on the roadmap that you already designated to yourself. I think consistency is key, and it'll help bridge the trials and tribulations. Stay consistent and things will kind of start falling into the way it should.
I love that. I love this discussion. Did anybody have anything else to add before we close?
I could talk for days, so I'll see you guys next week.
This has been so much fun. Selling yourself is more than just marketing. It's about building relationships and trust over time. Thank you guys for listening to the Clout Podcast. And remember, your brand is your business. We will see you next time. If you've enjoyed these episodes, please like, subscribe, rate, and we will see you next time. Bye.